extensions for many assignments. Please continue to ask. I'll try to get out grades and so everybody knows exactly where they stand. I've added the 8 points, extra points in. I'll probably have another form where you might be able to get like 2 extra points. Those points go directly to your test grade. So if we keep looking at the nervous system, the peripheral nervous system, everything outside of the central nervous system is the peripheral nervous system. Axons are bundled in nerves, cell bodies that are out of the central nervous system and occur in the periphery. It includes cranial and spinal nerves. So let's look. You should know the general function. And here's all of the cranial nerves. So here we have a good picture. So make sure in WebAssign you can identify all of these cranial nerves and their general function. And the general function is listed in these multiple slides on the PowerPoint: olfactory, optic, oculomotor, trochlear, trigeminal, abducens, facial, vestibulocochlear, glossopharyngeal, vagus, accessory, and hypoglossal. Okay, the spinal nerves. We have 31 pairs located according to their point of origin in the spinal cord. We talked about that. Enough of that. What's a reflex? So we have a reflex where you have a receptor being activated by a stimulus. That pathway is on through the dorsal root into the dorsal horn of the gray matter of the spinal cord. There's an interneuron coordinating that information as well as sending it to the brain, because you know that when you automatically remove your hand, say from danger, you do know about it. And this motor neuron is going to stimulate the appropriate muscle. So depending on where in your body the danger is, that's going to be coordinated to move the proper muscles. So you have a sensory neuron, an excitatory neuron, and a motor neuron. So this excitatory neuron is connecting the sensory information, sending some information to the brain, and stimulating the appropriate muscle to be contracted to remove your hand from danger. How does it exactly know? Good question. A lot of it has to do where the sensory neuron enters the spinal cord, cervical, thoracic, lumbar, or sacral. Okay, we talked about reflexes enough. We can review those. Okay, so if you look at the ascending nerves, and here's the primary somatosensory cortex. This diagram is called a homunculus. So all information getting to the spinal cord first is going to be sent up through the midbrain, through the thalamus, into, first of all, the primary somatosensory cortex. If you look at a cross-section and note the size of this hand versus the size of the rest of the body and the face, you can see that a larger portion of sensory input is dedicated to information coming from the fingers and hands, coming from your face. You know how important that is. You know that your hand is very, very sensitive to all types of touch. Your face has many sensory input a lot of sensory input from the lips. So the analysis of sensory information and the amount of area in the brain that is dedicated to that process is indicated by a homunculus. Okay, so that's the posterior column. Then we have the the information leaving from the primary motor cortex, and here we have the information leaving from the precentral gyrus, and you have axons, and that information is going to be sent out to various skeletal muscles when you need complex movement in coordination with the cerebellum for learned activity, such as riding a bike, playing tennis, playing golf, swimming. All that information has to be ultimately coordinated, but once you learn it with the cerebellum and the primary motor cortex, you're off to the races. Okay, read through this. That'll be a good idea. Let's stop there. Stop recording a moment. Stop recording.